Hey everyone, good evening and welcome to our stream this evening. I'm just going to be on for about 45 minutes to an hour. So if you have your questions, please just pop them in the chat. I've been inundated with messages and WhatsApps and everything from you guys. So yeah, I thought I'll just jump on here and just answer a few of those questions and we can take it from there. So please leave your questions in the chat and then I'll be going through them live here this evening. Okay, so seeing as I've got Access open, Justin, I'm going to come back to that because that's the one in Excel that's inserting subtotals using our data tab. Okay, so please, folks, just a couple of things here when it comes to Access. I know most of you are looking at the calculations, you know, in your queries, in your forms, in your reports, things like that. Just have a look at your CD table. This is just my example, right? So in our table, we have a number of things that they can ask us to do. Now we can change the font, we can change, you know, whether it's going to be bold, whether it's going to be whatever size. Whoa, and you can see that's way too big. But whatever we change, it's going to change, you know, for the entire table. Two or three of the things that always come through are the grid lines over here under home tab. You can see there I've got different options to show it, you know, the horizontal grid lines or the vertical grid lines, and I can also take that off. I can also over here, these are things that they ask regularly, change the color of every alternate row. Okay, so we've got that. And another one, I know at the bottom, usually ask for, well, at times they do ask for some of these totals as well in Access. And all we really need to do is we can go to our home tab in the records over here. We can click totals. So you see when I click totals, you see what it does. This is in my data sheet view, by the way. This is just in a normal table. And it brings up that total section over there. You can see it. And it will total up everything for the particular column. So here you can see for CD name, when I click in it, it gives me a formula. I can obviously only use count because that is, obviously we're dealing now with text over here. If I go to my column that has, you know, currency in it, I can click in there and I've got a number of options that I can use, right, in terms of formulas. And I'm literally just going to choose whichever one I want. Okay, so those are just a few of the things when it comes to your data sheet view. Just move up there. Right. Now, Let me see a few of these things. Let's go to our queries because I see one of them. One of the things people are asking about. The calculation in a query. Okay. So I'm going to use one over here. And I think I'll just use the magnifier app. Just make that a bit big so you could see what's happening there. All right, so when it comes to creating a calculated field inside of a query, obviously you want to read the question, see what they need you to do. The first thing you're going to do, I'm just going to create a field and I'm going to say, well, I want to multiply whatever is in the replacement value field. I want to multiply that by 30 or 20 or whatever it is. So in my calculated field, the first thing I've got to do is I've actually got to type out the name of the field that I want. So I'm just going to say, let's just call this total. And I'm going to put in my colon. Okay, so that is already telling Access that, listen, this is the name of the field. Then I'm going to type in my actual calculation. And in this case, my calculation is going to be the replacement value multiplied by 30. Now, when you refer to a field, please, you need to put in the square bracket. And you need to just type this out correctly. The name of that field. So we refer to it by means of our square brackets. And then I'm going to use the same things I use in Excel, my multiplication or my star sign over there. And I'm going to say I'm going to multiply it by 30. Right? So I hope you can see that there. What I've done, I've put in the name of my field. I've put in a colon. And then I've referred to the field that I want to do something to. So I'm taking the contents of replacement value of that field and I'm multiplying that by 30. All right, so now when I go over to run, you can see there's replacement value. There's the new field that I've created and there's my answer. Okay, so that's one of the calculations. Look, as far as queries are concerned, that's really the only major thing. Your calculated field and then just putting in your criteria, you know, whatever criteria they want you to put in. So just in terms of the queries, that's the major things that they do ask. Let me see what else is here while I'm in Access, because I can see there's Excel, there's Word. Okay, Raven, when you say that landscape thingy, yes, it's that. It is section breaks, people. You need to learn how to use your section breaks. Right, if we go into Word, you'll see this is just one page. And I'm going to go to the second page. So now I've got 2 pages. Let me just zoom in here. All right, so I've got 2 pages. There's my second page. This is my first page. And guys, what you want to do, you want to make use of your section breaks. So if I go in here and I'm going to go to layout, I'm going to go over to breaks and I'm going to say section break. Now, how do I know that the section break is actually applied? Well, if I go to the home tab and I go to my backward facing P, there you can see my section break is there. Okay, I'm just checking some of the comments. Okay, guys, just one thing. When it comes to the input mask of Access, I know I'm bouncing around things because there's a lot of stuff coming through. Do bear in mind, you should be getting a tag sheet, not just for HTML, but for your input mask as well. So it's just a case of knowing what to do with those things. Okay, so here I've got my section break, and whatever I then do on the second page, right, it's going to be, if I can put it that way, independent of what happens on the first page. Okay, so this is usually a question people ask with regards to changing the page, you know, from portrait to landscape. And it's just a matter of inserting your page breaks, section breaks. So let me ask you this. If I'm going to be putting in, let's see what you remember for tomorrow. If I'm going to be putting in my section break over here, where will the next section break go? Is it going to go at the end of the second page, or is it going to go at the beginning of the third page? If I want to flip just the second page to make it landscape. Okay, so while you're commenting on that, when it comes to are you allowed to use F1? I'm sure you are. It's not some, you know, feature that is like illegal or something like that. No. When it comes to the graphs, folks, it's just the basic things that you're going to need to know in your graphs. How to put a picture in the background, change data labels, those type of things. Okay, so I just want to go over the page number quickly. So remember now, this is my first page, right? I've got a section break at the end of my first page. And then when I go down, I've just got another 2 pages. So in my second page, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go insert a page number, and I'm going to go bottom of the page. And I'm just going to choose anyone. Okay. Now what you'll see is I've got 1 on the first page. I've got 2 on the second page, and I've got 3 on the third page. So I want to take my link to previous out. I want to close that. When I have a look at it quickly, and I'm seeing, okay, so I've got 1 there, I've got 2 here, and I've got 3 there. Okay, so we don't panic. All we do is we're going to go insert. We got our page number again. Format our page numbers. This is what we want to see, because we want to tell it where to start at. Okay, and we want to start at number 1. And the only problem now is that it's still on my first page. So if I go into my second page, and in fact, sorry, my first page, and I go different first page, that now takes it away. And I'm starting on my second page, and there it goes, 1, 2. Now you can see I've got my page numbering in. It does not start on my first page. It starts on my second page with number 1. And then you can see on my third page, that's number 2, because it's not counting page number 1. Okay, so this is page number 3. So I'm going to put in a border here, and I'm going to go to my borders and shading. I'm going to go over to borders and shading there. And I'm going to pop in a page border, and I'm just going to select anything. These nice cherries over here. Apply to is where we're going to jump in, right? Because I can say whole document, this section. I can say this section first page only, or this section all except first page. So I'm going to go with this section. I'm going to go OK. And I need to get rid of that for the other pages. So I'm going to go into my settings again. Just go and check on that. Page border. That's all fine. You see apply to whole document. And I don't want that. I want it only on this section. No man, why is it doing that? Let's get rid of that. Okay, so we'll have to put in another section break, people. That's the only way I'm going to stop this now. Again, we'll have to go to layout. We'll have to go and put in our section breaks and break this again. Right? So that whatever I do again on the third page will only reflect there and not on the other pages. So please play around with those section breaks. Right? Those are the things that are going to bring in the separations inside of your document. Okay, I just want to jump back to where I was over here. And I want to go to my forms. Now, please remember, when we create, right, when we create our forms, our reports, and our queries, we're going to go to create, and we're going to go to our different wizards. So I've got my query wizard, and we can see there we've just got a simple query. We'll click OK. Please make sure that you choose the correct table that it's based off of. It can be a table, it can be a query. They'll tell you your available fields. I'm just going to choose everything. Going to click next. With this one, would you like to do a detail or summary query? Well, if they don't tell you to do anything, you just leave it as is. Click next. Then you'll choose a particular title. Right, a particular title that you want. Ruby, no, you won't lose marks for adding those breaks. They want you to use those section breaks. And then we click finish. And then under queries, I should now have a new query that I've created. Right? So that'll be there. That's how we create our query. When it comes to our form, we go to create. We go to form wizard. Same story. Select the correct table. So in this case, I'm going to go to select CD table. Okay, I'll do that. Select everything there. Next. Now you'll see with the form, they'll ask you about the layout, right? And you've got different options there. Only choose what they ask you to choose. Simple as that. Next, what name do you want? I'm just going to say new. Right, and then I'm going to finish. And there my form is being created. Right, I'm going to jump back. Yeah, the questions are coming in thick and fast here now. Okay, so here we can see, hope you guys can see that magnification area as well. I'm going to use license plate over here. And here you can see with my input mask, I've got zeros, I've got capital L's, and I've got 9s. Okay, now please remember your zeros, and I'm going to, let me just get rid of that. No, in fact, I'm going to just show you here quickly. Okay, let me just do it this way. Your zeros, when you use zeros for your input mask, guys, what it's basically saying is that this stands for, ooh, my spelling, compulsory numbers, right? So people need to then, they are forced to enter 3 numbers. Okay, 3 numbers. They are forced to do that. Then when we use 999, what we are saying is it's optional. So people can enter one number, they can enter two numbers, they can enter three numbers, and it's all the way from 0 up to 999. Okay, so that is where you'll use that. Your LLL or just your L's, if I have just one L, this is a compulsory capital letter. And when I use my question mark, I'm dealing with an optional letter. Okay, so this is how you put all of these things together, right? Depending on what they're asking you in the paper, you will then just sort everything out like that. All right. Okay, let me just increase this here. Okay, let's go back to access. So remember, with access, you've got your input mask. Your default value is what is going to display there. If nobody selects anything, there must be something that is going to display in that particular field, and that would be your default value. Your validation rule and text, those two, remember, those two work together. So for example, if I go to gender, there should be an example of my validation rule. You can see there that the default value is M. Right? The validation rule I've put there is M or F for gender. In other words, the person must enter either an M or an F. Now, if they enter anything else, the validation text is what is going to appear on the screen. So that can be anything. You are just telling the person, listen, you know what? If you are entering the wrong thing, please only enter M or F. Right. So Surge, what you're going to do there is you're going to put in a capital letter. That's going to be your L. Then you'll have your question mark. You'll have a dash. So you'll physically put in the dash, and then 3 zeros if it's 3 compulsory numbers. Okay, let me see if I've got an example here of tables. We can look at that as well in HTML. What module is that? 6.1. Okay, so as we look at this over here, you can see, sorry, my mic was just off. You can see I made a change to the title over there. I saved it, and then I went and I refreshed my site. So this is a typical way that you should be able to handle this, or you should handle it, by doing it change by change. And then what you'll do is you'll go over and you'll refresh that in order to make sure that that change actually affects, right? So that it actually goes through. So I'm going to go down to my table. And when I look at the table over here, you can see there's a lot of things happening inside here. I've got my table tag. I've then got my border. I've got my cell padding, and I've got my cell spacing, right? Now, when I look at everything underneath here, you can see I've got my TR tags. Your prac is out of 180, by the way. Your TR tags, that is your table row. In other words, what is in that particular row. The TD refers to the table data inside of that row. So if I look at this here, TR, and then underneath it, I've got TD mode, number, and information. And when I go over to my website, I've got mode, number, information. In other words, those are supposed to be like the headings that I'm putting in. Then I've got another row. And in my second row, I've got board, 9, and then this both feet on board. Okay. So if I go over here, board, 9, both feet on board. So you can see each set of TR tags deals with a particular row, and the TD tags deal with whatever's inside that row. So if I've got 4 of those TD tags, it means that I'm going to have 4 items within that row. Okay. Now, at the moment, everything is 0. Now, watch what happens when I change this to 1. This border equals 1. So generally, they will give it to you like this, and they'll ask you to sort the actual table out. You know, make it display. I go File, Save. I go Refresh, and there's my table. Right? Now, if I increase that number, to 3, I go File, Save, refresh my site, you can see the borders become thicker. Right? Let's see what cell padding does. I'm going to increase that to 2. Again, I'm going to go File, Save, and then I'm going to refresh. And you can see what happens to my table. Right? Let's increase it a lot more. Cell padding, save. You can see what happens. The space between my text and the actual edge of the border, that becomes bigger. Right? You can see there all the way around. Now, let's go over to cell spacing, and let's go change that to a 4. Let's go File, Save. Let's refresh that. Do you see what that does? Right? I'm going to change it again. I'm going to change it back to what it was, just so you can see. File, Save, so you can see what the table looks like. And you can see there the change. So the cell spacing and cell padding, you can see there does vastly different things. Our cell padding dealing with the text to the border on the inside, and then our cell spacing actually spacing itself between items inside of the table there as well. Depending on your school, you can use Notepad or Notepad++. They do recommend Notepad++, but I mean, yeah, some of our schools here are still using Notepad, and it works fine. It works fine. Okay, but eventually they want everyone to obviously migrate over to Notepad++. Right, then I want to go to, let's see if I can find that. Just trying to see now. I know I had the try nested if. It's the one that helps. Here we go. for our nested if functions. So with our nested if, what you just need to remember is that with a normal if function, if I went equals if and I opened up my bracket, you can see that I've got to put in a criteria. So I'll say, listen, man, this cell B2 here, if the number is greater than, let's say, 40, then it needs to display the word yes. And if not, it needs to display the word no. Right? And I close my bracket, and that's fine. There I get a yes. Okay? With my nested if, you can see here I've only got two items. However, when I look at this question here where they say display the correct message for the mark obtained, I've got 1, 2, 3 items. So the minute you see that, please just remember that we are going to need to use a nested if function. Also, when you look at this, you can see that this individual needs to get the number 75, so they need to get a mark of 75 and up in order to have distinction displayed. It's not saying more than 75. If I go down here, here's another example that says more than 999. Now this plays a big role because when I insert my if function and I say, well, whatever is in B2, if it is greater than or equal to 75. Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that simply because the learner or the individual must get 75 in order to get a distinction. So they have that. That's the criteria. What must it display? Distinction. And then because I've got another 2 items that still have to go in, I have to start my if function again. And now, same cell. B2. This time it's going to be greater than or equal to 50 because that was my second criteria. What must happen if it meets that criteria? It must display the word pass. Now, if it doesn't match any of these, then it must simply display the word fail. Also remember, for every bracket I open, I need to close it. And there you can see that if I put in 75, it goes to distinction. If I put in 50, it goes to pass. And obviously, if I put in 32, then it's going to go to fail. Now, when I go to this one over here, and you can see it's got currency, please just take note of the following. If I go equals if, and I say, what's that, B12, whatever's in B12, it said more than 999. So I'm going to go greater than 999. Okay, and I'm going to show you. Right, it must display 10%. If B12, now you can see our second one is greater than or equal to 500. What must happen? It must display 5%. And for anything else, it must just display 2%. Now, I go and test it. I make sure if I type in 1,000, it's 10%. If I type in 500, it moves to 5%. And 250, it moves to 2%. All right. So now that I've got that in place, some learners do make the mistake and they put in the R because they see that it's, rand amounts. But you can see, even though it's giving me an answer, have a look at what happens when I type in 1,000. Nothing. Okay, if I put in 500, nothing. If I put in 250, nothing. Okay, all right. So that's that. Let me look at the next item. All right, so now VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. These are the two. And then mail merge. Okay. Guys, I'm not going to be able to get to everything, but I'm going to do my best here. So VLOOKUP. Now, when it comes to VLOOKUP, the first thing you really want to do is you want to have a look at your areas and say, well, okay, this is one area that they want me to find info in, and this is the other. So when you look at these, you want to find what we call a lookup value, and we want to be able to say, okay, please, no spamming in the chat, no spamming, otherwise I'm going to have to kick you out. Okay, right, so we have our beginner over here, and you can see when we look at this section and we look at the other section, what we see is that the course is found in both. So that becomes our lookup value, something that is in both areas. And what I want is to match this up into this area and extract this particular number into my cost section over here. So for this, I'm going to go up to formulas, I'm going to go up to insert function, and I'm going to go with VLOOKUP. So now my lookup value, I've already said this is my lookup value. That's going to be C2, that's beginner. Then I'm going to go to the table array. Now, what is the table array? The table array is the area that I'm going to actually go and have a look for this, this course beginner. So you can see there F1 to G5, and there it shows me everything that's in that range. Then they're asking me what column index number. Okay. So if I look at my columns here, you can see I've got a column of courses and a column of totals. So this becomes column 1 because Excel, as we usually count, we count 1, 2. So we've got column 1 and column 2. So the info that we want is coming out of column 2. Now already when I type that in, there's my answer. So it is already doing that. Okay. Then the range lookup. We've got true and false. So if we put in false, it means we want an exact number. We will use the word true only when, let's say something in this range, we're looking to match it up to the closest number, or to the closest to what we are finding here. Then we'll use the word true. Now, for the purposes of tomorrow, look guys, type in false. If it doesn't work, type in true. At this stage, you should already know what's happening with these things. So that's how you're going to do that. We're then going to click OK, and there we have our answer. Now, I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to copy it to the next sheet. All right, so there it's on the next sheet. Here's sheet 1 and sheet 2. And I now want to get this, or the cost of this course. No, man, guys, don't stress over tomorrow. Take it easy. All right, you've got over enough time. Okay, so we click on there. We're going to do the same thing. Insert function, VLOOKUP, lookup value. We've got our lookup value here. We go to our table array. This time, is the table array here? No, we're going over to the next sheet, and we're simply going to highlight whatever's on that sheet, right? In terms of what we are looking for. Then we go back to our column index number, and this is where a lot of people make a mistake. Okay, so you're going to go to sheet 2. You're going to see, okay, not column 1. It's going to be column 2. But when you look in here, you see that it says sheet 2. So just delete that and just type in the number 2. There's my answer. Do I want an exact match? Yes, I do. And I'm going to click OK. All right. Now, if I click in here and I say I want to do an HLOOKUP, let's see what's the difference. Do you see that the layout for the VLOOKUP and the HLOOKUP is the same? Right? However, there is one difference. The HLOOKUP deals with rows. Now, it's called the HLOOKUP because it's a horizontal lookup. The VLOOKUP is for our vertical lookup. So I can still do a lookup value. I can still go and do the table array. But when it comes to the row index number and I type in number 2, you can see it's now giving me email instead of the number. Okay, so when your information that's here is displayed in terms of rows instead of columns, that's when you will use an HLOOKUP instead of the VLOOKUP. Okay, so let's see. Right, I want to use a concatenate in here. Remember what concatenate does? It joins things. So I can simply go to formulas. I can go to insert function. I can go to concatenate. And I can say, well, what is it I actually want to put together? And I can say, well, I want to join this cell to this one to this one. Do you see what it's doing underneath that? It's already typing that out for me. I hit enter and there I'm done. Okay, there I'm done. So you can go and put things in here. If you want a space, you're going to use your inverted commas, space, inverted commas, so that it becomes another section in there. So that I'm saying whatever's in cell F3, add it to G3, add it to a space, add it to H3, and there I'm sitting with John Smith with my space. Mail merge. Okay, so with mail merge, please remember it is a 4-step process, but there are 2 additional things. Okay, I can definitely do that, Chapel. All right, we've got our start mail merge. You will select what it is that you are starting. You will go select recipients. You will use an existing list, and you'll generally go and navigate to your data folder, because they'll obviously have those things in there. Once you're done with that, we're going to go with insert merge field, and then we finish off with finish and merge. Learners, those are the 4 steps that's involved in your mail merge. Okay, that is it. Start mail merge, select recipients, insert merge field, and finish and merge. Now they might ask you to do some extra things, which will be in the edit recipient list. So I'm just gonna see if I can find something here. I'm just going to select anything. And you can see there I've got my select recipients. That's done. You can now see that edit recipient list has become active. So as insert merge field. So I'm going to click on edit recipient list. And you can see what this is doing for me. It's bringing up another box that's got a whole lot of entries. In other words, everything inside the spreadsheet. And I can go and sort this. I can add a filter to it. And I can even find duplicates. But again, please guys, it is you will only use this if they ask you to do this. So I've started my mail merge. I've selected the recipients. Then I'm going to go insert merge field. And wherever my mouse pointer is, that's where this is going to go. So you can see there it is. And I'm going to move over a few spaces. I'm going to go insert merge field again. I'm going to click on name. And there it is. Now, I use preview results to see that when I click that, there it's changed. Okay, so preview results is what does that for me. And then when I'm finished, I go finish and merge, edit individual documents, and I just click on OK. All right, so remember now, start mail merge, select recipients, insert your merge fields, and finish and merge. Okay, last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through conditional formatting because my time has run out already. I'm going to look at these marks over here, and you can see I'm going to highlight these marks. I'm going to go up to conditional formatting, and then I've got a number of different options when it comes to conditional formatting. I can put in one to say, well, we want to highlight the cells that are greater than, let's say for argument's sake, 25. And I want to change that or format it as a yellow fill with dark yellow text, and click OK. I can apply another conditional formatting, to that same area or to that same range. Highlight it again, conditional formatting, highlight cells or cells rules, and I can say, well, okay, give me the numbers that are equal to, let's say, 23, and I want to use a green fill, and I click OK. Now, how do the markers check that you've actually done this? Okay, how do they check that you've actually done this? Well, they're going to highlight this, or they can click on any one of these, go to conditional formatting, and click on manage rules. Okay, if you've done something wrong, you can always edit the rule. You can also go and insert new rules. Right, there's a few items that you can go and experiment with over there with new rules, but this is where you do everything in terms of conditional formatting. Okay, guys, I have to go off now, but thank you very much for being here. I'm glad I could help those who I could help. All the best for tomorrow. I am still on the Telegram group, so you can always jump in there, ask me, any questions if you need to. But that is going to be it for me for now. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening, and good luck. I know you are going to do your best.